maybe $50, maybe $100, maybe $2. Maybe we'll give him something for his how emotionally trying it was to lose your pants. Maybe these were very special pants. $1,000, $2,000, $54 million. That's a lie. It's not true. Shouldn't be able to write that in a complaint and get away with it. Now, okay, it's funny when we talk about it now, but it wasn't funny for the people that own the cleaning store. It cost them $100,000, and they had to close their cleaning store. Don't you think that this would be the fair way our law should be organized? This is what I would do. Don't you think he should now have to pay them $100,000 for the damage that he did? Absolutely. Wouldn't that be the fair thing to do? I'm going to propose tort reform. That's what it's called. And we're going to put limits on damages of non-economic damages. Not economic damage. You can recover everything you lost, every single penny of it. But you can't recover more than $250,000 beyond that for this pain and suffering and all these other things that you said. Texas just did that. And in the state of Texas, the number of doctors went up. The first year they did that by 9%. The number of doctors the second year by 30%. Pretty soon we're all going to have to go to Texas to find a doctor. But we've got to do that for our economy. And if we do those four things, we restrain spending, we cut down taxes, we balance our regulations, and we have reasonable controls on our lawsuits like they have in other countries, we're going to have a great economy for all these young people, for all of us. See, what he's got to be looking forward to, this young man, all of them here, and the young lady, they've got to be looking forward to exactly what your parents believed and your grandparents and what we believe. We're all about making a better life for ourselves and for the next generation. That's what we're all about in America. And there are people who wonder, is the next generation going to be better off than we are? And do you know who gets to determine that? We do. It isn't inevitable. It happens based on the policies that we have. If we have sensible, American, pro-growth policies, we will have a better future for ourselves and for our children. But if we make incorrect choices, if we choose to be more like one of those Central European-controlled governments that the Democrats want to bring us, then we're not going to be a country where the sky's the limit anymore. And that's why I'm running for president, and that's why I'm asking you to support me, first in the caucuses that are coming up in January, and then in the general election. Iowa is important at least twice next year from a political point of view. It's important every day from everybody's point of view, but from a political point of view, it's important for the caucuses and for the general election, and I need your support. So thank you very much. God bless you, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to address you. We've taken a lot of time, but maybe if you have one or two questions,
yes,
we would be happy to address.
This is one area that you didn't address directly. This is a very Republican county to try to figure that out. Between 2004 and 2002 and 2000 and 2004, the voter turnout here in this county went up by 20%. President Bush got more than all of it. Now, I'm convinced that that was largely due to his pledge to appoint conservative judges. Can you talk about that a minute?
Sure. I have made the same pledge. Do you have my 12 commitments? Does somebody have a copy of them?
Right here.
I'll show you. We did this because we did this in June, and we explained it all during the summer. The purpose of this is, what I want to do is have the American people know exactly what I stand for. I'm not one of those candidates that's all things to all people. So I don't know. I think that's better. That's what I would prefer if I were on your side of it. I prefer a candidate who tells me what they believe. So I tried to write out what I believe. And one of the things that I say here, this is one of our 12 commitments, I will reform the legal system, which I was talking about, and appoint strict constructionist judges. I will appoint judges who are conservative judges, who seek to figure out the meaning of the Constitution, rather than create what they would like the Constitution to be. I will appoint judges like the ones you saw President Bush appoint. They're friends of mine. I work with 3 of the 4 judges that you would consider to be strict constructionist judges on the court I work with at different times in my career. Justice Scalia, Chief Justice Roberts, Justice Alito, Justice Thomas is the fourth one, but the first three I work with, any one of the four of them are the kind of judges I would appoint. And if you look at my Judicial Advisory Committee, which is headed by Ted Olson, and has on it a number of lawyers of that kind of philosophy, including some that have been judges, you will see that those are the people I surround myself with. So that would be my objective, would be to appoint judges who stick to the meaning of the Constitution and are not one of these judges who try to make it up.
Thank you.
Who do you have in your pool of vice president
Who do I have in my pool of vice presidents?
candidates?
Oh, I don't have a vice presidential candidate yet. I don't think it's appropriate, and I think it would be presumptuous for any of us that are just candidates right now to pick a vice president or to suggest who our vice president would be. I'll tell you how I think you pick a vice president, and there are a number of Republicans on my side that fit this category. But first, you've got to pick someone who you believe in your conscience can be as good a president as you were. You can't compromise on that one bit for the purpose of politics. And I say that because I lived through several different crises. Probably the worst, obviously, being September 11th. I knew this before September 11th. By the end of the day, I really knew this. It's really important that we have a president and a vice president, either of which can take over in a moment of crisis, just as ready. The vice president has to be just as ready as the president to step in and take over. Probably that has always been the case. It should be the case in the future. So you've got to select someone that is just as capable of being president as you are, that the American people are going to accept that way, because they have to be confident in the vice president as much as they are in the president, and then one that can be a teammate with you. I believe in having a vice president that's close to you, because I think particularly in this day and age where somebody has to act immediately, the vice president has to be a teammate. The vice president has to be ready to act if something should happen to the president. I remember on September 11 not knowing where the president was when I called the White House, because I was told the vice president would call me back and they were going to have to leave the White House. So I remember Vice President Cheney calling me back. I wasn't quite sure what had happened to the president at that point, because things were happening very quickly. But I did have a sense of confidence when I knew I was getting the call back from Vice President Cheney that this was a man who could handle the responsibilities in this worst of times. And that's what you need in a vice president. Then politically we'll figure out who the right one is if I get the opportunity to. If you give me the opportunity to do it, I promise you I'll make a good choice. How's that? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
No, 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 you're.